They laughed at you once. They ignored your efforts. They doubted your silence. But one day, they will watch you in silence. There comes a moment when you realize that explaining yourself is not strength, it is often insecurity in disguise. The need to be understood, approved, or accepted slowly fades, and in its place comes something much stronger, self-trust. You stop announcing your plans, stop defending your choices, and stop seeking permission to move forward. Instead, you turn inward. You focus on your actions, your discipline, your growth. And in that silence, something powerful begins to build. Because when your energy is no longer scattered across opinions and validation, it becomes concentrated. Focused. Directed. And that kind of focus creates real change. Stoicism teaches that power is not found in being seen, it is found in being in control. Control of your emotions, your reactions, your habits, your time. While others are busy proving themselves to the world, you are building something deeper within yourself. You show up every day, even when no one is watching. You stay consistent, even when there is no reward. And slowly, without noise, your identity begins to shift. You are no longer the person who talks about change, you are the person who lives it. That's where the transformation becomes real. And then, without forcing it, the outside world starts to notice. Not because you demanded attention, but because your presence changed. Your calm becomes visible. Your discipline becomes evident. Your confidence no longer needs to speak, it is felt. This is what it means to become dangerous in a peaceful way. Not aggressive, not loud, but unshakable. You are no longer easily influenced, no longer distracted by noise, no longer dependent on approval. You move with intention, you act with clarity, and you carry a quiet strength that most people don't understand, but they recognize at the moment they see it. Focus is not just about what you do, it's about what you refuse to entertain. Every distraction you allow weakens your direction, and every time you say no, you strengthen it. It's waking up when your mind is full of excuses and choosing action anyway. It's working in silence while others chase comfort. It's understanding that time is either being invested or wasted, and making sure yours is always moving you forward. Focus is discipline in motion, quiet, repetitive, and often unnoticed. It also means protecting your environment and your energy with intention. Not everyone deserves access to your time, your attention, or your mindset. Negative people, constant noise, and empty habits slowly pull you away from your path if you let them. So you become selective. You build routines that support your growth. You stay consistent even when results are not visible, because you understand that progress is happening beneath the surface. And most importantly, you keep going even when no one else believes in your vision, because your belief is no longer dependent on others. It's built through action, every single day, no matter what. At the beginning, your effort will be invisible. People won't see the early mornings, the discipline, the quiet work you're putting in. They will judge based on what is visible, not what is being built behind the scenes. They will question your choices because they don't understand your direction. They will compare your small steps to someone else's finished results. And sometimes, they will even expect you to fail, not because you can't succeed, but because your path makes them uncomfortable. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It's a sign that you are doing something different. Most people only believe in results, not in the process. They don't clap in the beginning because there is nothing obvious to celebrate yet. But growth has never been about early recognition. It's about quiet consistency. Every step you take when no one is watching is building something real. Every moment you keep going despite doubt is strengthening your mindset. And while others are focused on judging, you are focused on becoming. What you need to understand is this: their opinion is based on what they see today, but your life is being shaped by what you do daily. The process is slow, and it's often lonely, but it is also necessary. Because the same people who ignore you now will only notice you later when the results become visible. And by that time, you won't need their approval, you will have built something far more valuable. Prove to yourself that you didn't stop when it was hard, quiet, and uncertain. Stoicism is not just a philosophy, it's a way of living with clarity and control. It teaches you to draw a clear line between what is in your power and what is not, and to stop wasting energy on things you cannot influence. Other people's opinions, outcomes, timing, these will never be fully yours to control. But your actions, your mindset, your discipline, these are always within your reach. And when you shift your focus to what you can control, your mind becomes lighter. You stop reacting to everything around you and start acting with intention. It also trains you to stay steady when life becomes difficult. Pressure, challenges, uncertainty, these are not obstacles to avoid, they are part of the path. Instead of resisting them, Stoicism teaches you to use them. To remain calm when things don't go your way. To accept setbacks without losing direction. To build inner strength that doesn't collapse under stress. Because real stability is not built when everything is easy, it is built when you stay grounded even when it's not. And over time, this way of thinking changes how you move through life. You stop chasing approval and start trusting your own path. You stop being controlled by emotions and start mastering them. You stop looking outward for validation and start building inward strength. You keep moving forward, not loudly, not for attention, but with quiet consistency. And that's where real growth happens, where your life is no longer shaped by external noise, but by internal discipline. When you truly focus on yourself, something deeper shifts beyond just productivity, you change the direction of your entire life. Comparison starts to lose its grip because you are no longer measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. Attention stops mattering because you are no longer trying to be seen, you are trying to become. The noise that once distracted you begins to fade, not because the world becomes quiet, but because your priorities become stronger than the distractions around you. You stop reacting to everything. Negativity no longer pulls you in because your energy has a purpose. Instead of wasting time on things that don't move you forward, you begin to invest it in growth. Your mindset, your discipline, your habits. You start building something that is yours, not something shaped by trends, pressure, or opinions. And that process is not loud or instant, it is slow, intentional, and consistent. Over time, this focus creates identity. You begin to think long-term instead of chasing short-term comfort. You become more disciplined, not because you have to, but because you understand what it leads to. You start creating value, improving yourself, and aligning your actions with the person you want to become. And without even noticing, you step into a version of yourself that once felt far away, not by chasing it, but by building it, day by day, with quiet focus. Success is rarely about a sudden burst of motivation, it's about what you do when that motivation disappears. Anyone can feel inspired for a day, maybe even a week. But real progress is built in the moments when you don't feel like showing up and you do it anyway. It's in the quiet discipline of repeating the same actions daily, even when the results are not visible yet. That's where most people stop, but that's also where real growth begins. Consistency turns effort into identity. When you show up every day, when you keep working through slow progress, when you stay patient through setbacks, you start building something deeper than results, you build resilience. Failures stop feeling like endings and start becoming feedback. Distractions lose their power because your focus becomes stronger than temporary comfort. And habits begin to form, not because you forced them once, but because you repeated them enough times that they became part of who you are. This is what separates those who talk about success from those who actually achieve it. Not talent, not luck, but the ability to keep going without immediate reward. To stay focused when it's boring. To keep improving when no one notices. To refuse to quit, even when it would be easier to stop. Because in the end, success is not a single moment. It's the result of small actions done consistently over time. Those difficult days are not interruptions in your journey, they are the real test of it. Anyone can move forward when things feel easy, when energy is high, and when results are visible. But the days when you feel tired, confused, or alone, those are the moments that reveal who you truly are. Because in those moments, you don't have motivation to rely on. You only have your discipline, your mindset, and your decision to keep going. When progress feels slow and nothing seems to be working, it's easy to believe that your effort is pointless. But growth doesn't always show itself immediately. Most of the time, it's happening quietly beneath the surface, building strength, resilience, and clarity that you can't yet see. And while others may doubt you or fail to support you, those external factors don't define your path, your consistency does. The fact that you continue despite all of it is already proof that you are moving in the right direction. These hard days shape your identity. They force you to act without comfort, to believe without proof, and to move forward without validation. And every time you push through, you become a little stronger, a little more focused, a little more disciplined. Because strength is not built when everything is going well, it is built when everything feels against you, and you still refuse to stop. Silence is powerful because it removes the need to perform. When you stop announcing your plans and stop showing every step, your energy stops leaking into unnecessary places. Most people talk too much about what they will do, and in doing so, they satisfy their ego without doing the actual work. But when you stay quiet, your focus becomes sharper. Your actions become more intentional. You are no longer chasing reactions, you are building results. You don't need to prove anything instantly because real growth takes time. When you rush to show progress, you interrupt the process. But when you trust time and stay patient, you allow your work to compound. Discipline becomes your routine. Focus becomes your habit. And action becomes your language. You don't need validation or approval because your direction is no longer dependent on others, it's built on your own standards. And eventually, something shifts. The same silence that once made you invisible becomes the reason people notice you. Not because you asked for attention, but because your results became undeniable. That's the difference. Noise demands attention, but results earn it. And when your life starts speaking for you, you realize that silence was never a weakness, it was your biggest advantage. When you improve yourself daily, the change doesn't come as a sudden transformation, it builds quietly, layer by layer. At first, it's small shifts, a little more discipline, a little more focus, a little less distraction. But over time, those small efforts start to reshape how you think and how you act. Your confidence grows not because you say positive things to yourself, but because you keep proving to yourself that you can follow through. Your mindset becomes stronger because you've faced resistance and didn't step back. As your habits improve, your life starts to feel more controlled. You waste less time, your decisions become clearer, and your goals stop feeling distant. Focus sharpens because you are no longer pulled in every direction. Your energy becomes more intentional. You use it where it matters instead of letting it scatter. And when your actions become consistent and meaningful, progress naturally follows. Not overnight, but steadily enough that one day, you can clearly see the difference between who you were and who you've become. And the most powerful part is this: you don't need to announce it. Your presence begins to speak for itself. People notice the calm, the discipline, the clarity in how you move. Not because you are trying to impress, but because you are aligned. That quiet strength carries more weight than any words ever could. One day, the silence around your effort will turn into attention, but by then, it won't matter in the same way it once did. The people who once overlooked your progress will start noticing the results they couldn't see before. Not because you changed overnight, but because consistent effort finally became visible. Growth is slow at first, almost invisible, and that's why most people miss it. They only notice outcomes, not the process behind them. As your discipline builds and your habits compound, your life starts to reflect the consistency you've been putting in quietly. And that's when questions begin to appear: how you stayed focused, how you kept going, how you didn't give up when things were uncertain. But what they are really seeing is not a sudden success story. They are seeing the result of decisions made long before anyone was paying attention. And here's the shift that matters most: you no longer need that attention to validate your journey. Because the real win was never being noticed, it was becoming someone who didn't need to be noticed to keep going. When you reach that point, recognition becomes optional. Your progress speaks for itself, and your discipline becomes the only proof you need. This journey was never meant to be a competition with others, it was always a conversation with yourself. Most people get distracted trying to prove something to the world, but the real work happens internally. It's not about showing people what you can do, it's about becoming someone who no longer needs to explain it. Growth is quiet. It doesn't announce itself, and it doesn't need approval. It happens in the background, in the choices you make when no one is watching. You don't rush it, because rushing creates pressure, and pressure often leads to inconsistency. Instead, you focus on showing up again and again, even when progress feels slow or invisible. It's not about being perfect every day, it's about not stopping every time things aren't perfect. That's where real development happens, in repetition, in discipline, in the small decisions that most people overlook. And slowly, your attention shifts inward. You stop chasing validation and start building stability. You stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. Because in the end, this journey was never about them. It was about whether you had the discipline to become the version of yourself you already know you're capable of being. If you stopped chasing attention today and focused only on yourself, how different would your life look in the next 6 months? Quiet focus today builds a loud success tomorrow. If you think I provide you valuable content, then please like this video, follow, subscribe, and comment your thoughts in the comment section.